Start with a warm, inviting tone. Hello, little adventurers, and welcome back to our story corner. Are you ready for a tale filled with friendship, clever thinking, and a touch of magic? Today, we're going to meet three wonderful friends, Max, Toby, and Lila. Let's snuggle up and get started on a brand new journey. One bright sunny morning, Max, the bravest of the bunch, was walking through the park. The birds were singing, and a gentle breeze rustled the leaves. Suddenly, he spotted something incredible. High up, tangled in the branches of the oldest, tallest oak tree, was a gigantic balloon. It wasn't just any balloon. It was a dazzling swirl of rainbow colors, shimmering in the sunlight like a giant, captured jewel. Max's eyes widened. "Wow," he whispered, completely mesmerized. He knew he couldn't just leave it there. He had to get it down. But how? The tree was far too tall for him to climb alone. He needed help, and he knew just who to call. First, he ran to find Toby. Toby was the cleverest kid in town, always tinkering with gadgets and solving puzzles. He was sitting on his porch, sketching a design for a new kite. Toby, you have to see this!" Max shouted, breathless from running. Toby looked up, his curiosity sparked. Max quickly explained about the magnificent balloon stuck in the giant oak. Toby's eyes lit up. "A giant, colorful balloon? This sounds like a challenge. Let's go," he said, grabbing his backpack, which was always filled with interesting tools and ropes. Together, they raced back to the park, their minds already buzzing with ideas. When they arrived back at the old oak tree, they found their friend Lila already there, gazing up at the balloon with a dreamy look on her face. Lila was the most agile and nimble of the three, a natural-born climber who could scale almost anything. "Isn't it beautiful?" she sighed. "I was just trying to figure out how to get up there." Max and Toby smiled. The team was complete. Max had the bravery, Toby had the brains, and Lila had the climbing skills. "We have to work together," Max declared. "If we combine our strengths, I know we can free it." Lila and Toby nodded in agreement. The mission to rescue the beautiful balloon had officially begun. Toby opened his backpack and laid out his supplies. He had a long rope, a small pulley, and a cleverly designed grappling hook he'd made himself. "Okay, here's the plan," he began, pointing up at the tree. "Lila, you're the best climber. Do you think you can get high enough to attach this pulley to that thick branch just below the balloon?" Lila studied the tree, her eyes tracing a path up the sturdy trunk. "I can do that," she said confidently. "The bark is rough, and there are plenty of hand—" She took the pulley from Toby and looped it over her shoulder. "Perfect," said Toby. "Once the pulley is secure, Max and I will use the rope to hoist up the grappling hook. We'll aim it to gently snag the string of the balloon without popping it." It was a brilliant plan, but it required perfect coordination. With a deep breath, Lila began her ascent. She moved like a squirrel, finding every little nook and cranny to place her hands and feet. She was graceful and sure-footed, climbing higher and higher. Max and Toby watched from below, their hearts pounding with excitement. "You're doing great, Lila," Max called out. Finally, she reached the sturdy branch Toby had pointed out. Carefully, she secured the pulley, making sure it was strong and stable. She gave a thumbs up to her friends below. "It's ready," she shouted down. Now, it was phase 2. Max and Toby got to work. They threaded the long rope through the pulley Lila had attached. On one end, they carefully tied Toby's special grappling hook. "Okay, slow and steady," Toby instructed. "We need to pull together." Max grabbed the rope alongside him. On the count of 3, they began to pull, raising the grappling hook towards the sky. It swayed gently in the breeze as it climbed. A little to the left, Lila directed from her perch. "Now, a bit higher, ... Perfect." The hook was now hovering right beside the balloon's tangled string. With a final, gentle tug, they managed to snag the knot. "We've got it," Max cheered. Now for the trickiest part. Untangling it, they began to carefully maneuver the rope, pulling gently in different directions, following Lila's instructions from above. "Pull a little on your side, Max," she'd say. "Okay, Toby, ease up a bit." It was like a delicate dance, a puzzle they were solving together, dozens of feet in the air. For a moment, the strings seemed to get even tighter, and they all held their breath. But then, with one last coordinated pull, the knot loosened, and the string slipped free. The giant, colorful balloon was finally untangled. It bobbed gently, held only by their rope. "We did it!" they all shouted in unison, their voices filled with triumph and relief. Lila carefully climbed back down the tree, her face beaming with pride. As soon as Lila's feet touched the ground, something magical happened. The balloon, no longer held back by the tree, began to rise. But instead of flying away, the rope they were holding grew taut, and a gentle force started to lift them. First their tiptoes left the grass, then their whole bodies were floating. "Whoa!" exclaimed Toby, his eyes wide with astonishment. The balloon wasn't just a balloon, it was a magical balloon, and it was taking them on an adventure. It lifted them up, 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 gently carrying them into the bright blue sky. They weren't scared at all. They were filled with pure joy and excitement. Soaring above their town was an incredible feeling. Their houses looked like tiny toys, and the park was a little patch of green. They could see the entire town spread out below them like a map. "Look, there's my house," Lila pointed, laughing. "And there's the school," Max added, waving at some kids playing in the schoolyard who were pointing up at them in amazement. They floated over rivers that looked like silver ribbons and fields that were a patchwork of green and gold. The wind whispered in their ears as they drifted peacefully through the air. They laughed and pointed out all the familiar sights from their new bird's-eye view. It was a ride more wonderful than any of them could have ever imagined. After a long, blissful ride, the balloon began its gentle descent. It was as if it knew exactly where to take them. It floated slowly back down towards the very park where their adventure had started. With a soft, barely there bump, their feet touched the soft grass once again. The balloon bobbed happily above them, its colors seeming even brighter now. They had safely landed. They looked at each other, their faces glowing with happiness and the memory of their flight. They hadn't just rescued a balloon, they had worked together, trusted each other, and shared a magical experience they would never forget. As the sun began to set, casting a warm, golden light over the park, they carefully untied the rope and walked the magnificent balloon home, its string held tightly in their hands. They knew that today wasn't just about the fun of floating in the sky, it was about the power of teamwork. By combining Max's bravery, Toby's cleverness, and Lila's skill, they achieved something impossible. They learned that when friends work together, there's no challenge too big and no adventure out of reach. And they would carry the memory of their magical balloon ride in their hearts forever. What an amazing adventure. It just goes to show that the best things happen when we help each other out. I hope you enjoyed our story today. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss our next storytime journey. Thanks for listening, everyone. See you next time. Bye-bye.